Yeah. We really boxing. Who wanted the baddest? Let's see. Oh, we boxing, yeah, we boxing. I need that belt like it ain't no other option. So we punching and weaving and blocking. Defeat ain't an option. Let them know, shoot a video, put it on BVO. Let them know, every time I punch, it's a heavy blow. BVO, bound to hit like bricks cause it was set in stone. Let them know, I ain't getting body, but I'ma hit this flow. Yeah, way more than a show, this is BVO. This how it's finna go. I'ma throw some jabs, make them think my punch is weaker than I hook his ass. This the ring, not the kitchen, but I'ma cook his ass. Me and him, that's the pro versus the rookie class. All my life I had to fight, but I still love it. Me and BBO got moves that you can't steal from us. And these haters be throwing shots, but I don't feel nothing. I ain't gonna lie, shit, they alright, but we a little rougher. Step up for the title and face your rival, this ain't no little tussle. Bet I beat no bird, being chicken to get your feathers ruffled. Footwork, I'm dancing around my opponent like the Cupid shuffle. Good work, bodies hit the flow, they can't move a muscle. The upside is we ain't in the streets, shooting and shooting up. Catch me in the ring, sticking, moving and suited up. I know everybody can eat, but I ain't full enough. Oh, you said it's smoking some beef? I guess I'm pulling up. Oh, we boxing, yeah, we boxing. I need that belt like it ain't no other option. So we punching and weaving and blocking. Defeat ain't an option. Let them know, shoot a video, put it on BVO. Let them know, every time I punch, it's a heavy blow. BVO, bound to hit like bricks cause it was set in stone. Let them know, I ain't getting body, but I'ma hit this flow. Yeah, way more than a show, this is BVO.
Alright, for our viewers who don't know, tell them who the original man.
The original man is the Asiatic black man. He's the maker. He's the owner. He's the cream of planet Earth. He's father of civilization and God of this universe, Sarit. And there's only one God.
What's up? It's your boy BBO Boxing. Coming to you live, man, from the home of the boxing, Cleveland, Ohio. I got my guy, Puerto Rican Tommy in the house. Puerto Rican Prince D3. My brother, prize fighter, of course, my guy Thomas Hill. And we got the man of the hour, Mr. Bernard Hackett. What's going on, man?
Man, glad to be here. Glad to be here. How y'all doing today?
Peace,
Doing
brother.
good,
Peace.
man.
Peace with you, man.
You hear it?
Man, doing what we do, brother, in the gym.
That gym, man.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Go ahead, Tommy, get it started.
Well, I just first and foremost, I mean, welcome, Bernard. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you donating your time, to us, to this platform. And first, I want to give a shout out to BBO. Today's his birthday, so happy birthday, BBO.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
All right. You go ahead, Thomas. You can start it off.
All right. Well, Bernard, so we'll just start like this. First of all, how are you doing since your last win? And I'm assuming you said you're in the gym doing what y'all do. So you guys got a fight lined up already for Jalil?
Not yet, but I try to, tell him to treat boxing like his job. So, came home from the fight, took off for a week. After a week, started coming back in, get a little workout, make sure he stay, getting a good sweat. And probably in about another week or so, we'll get back down to grinding and just being prepared so when the next day comes.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, Coach. So, what was it like growing up in DC in the 80s and 90s, man? What was that like?
Man, it was something special, man. You had to be tough, man. You had to be tough, man. You had to stand on what you believed in.
So, what part of DC are you from?
I'm from Washington, D.C., born and raised in Northeast, Southeast area. Spent a lot of my young time, with my grandmother. And she had a house in Northeast. And my mother, she lived in Southeast. So I spent a lot of time between the two.
Okay. Yeah. The reason I asked you that, man, because we all heard about how fierce the Southwest of D.C. was. So I was wondering if you could tell us how it was back then.
Man, back then, every part of the city, it was hard. It was tough to live in every part of the city. I think the city was just broke down into, its own little. We had 4 quadrants: Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest, and each of them had, tough guys in it. Each of them had, stronghold people in it, and you had to be able to stand on your own. That was the biggest thing. It's not like today. Like today, it's more it's a lot of thumb wrestling going on because we didn't have social media back then. You know, so if you said half of the stuff that people say now, you had to say it to their face. But now you can, you can be a thumb wrestler and be on the other side of the country, on the other side of the world, and you could be internet make a lot of tough guys.
Internet thugging at his finest.
Yeah, I call them Broadway bloods.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach. So, did you grow with your mother and father? How did you grow up?
My mother worked a lot. My mother did the best she could. My father wasn't in the picture as much as he should be as a father, and my stepfather, he was there as much as he could be. And I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. She's my everything. She my rock, my foundation, everything. And she did the best she could, with me and my entire family. My grandmother did the best she could. So, I never down a mother. I tell any kid, for 9 months of housing, your mother gets a lifetime of gratitude. Because that's the one thing. That's the one thing nobody on this planet could have did for you, was carried you for 9 months. So if your mother did that for you, whatever fault your mother may have had, especially back then in the 80s and 90s, you got to forgive her for it and do the best you can, to have a relationship with her. But that does not mean that you dispel everything that the person who was there for you every day and provided for you, whatever they did.
Yeah. So that being said, I'll ask you this: how did you stay out of trouble? Because what I heard from DC, man, it's almost like it's impossible to stay out of trouble. How you stay out of trouble, man?
Man, I didn't. I mean, man, I think when you talk about people who are doing great things from the 80s and 90s and they're doing it today, I think the only reason they're doing it because they came up at a time when kids was free. Like your parents worked 2 jobs or whatever was going on. So you had a lot of freedoms, the freedoms of today where they got camera phones and all that. You ain't had none of that stuff. So you found it easy to get out in the streets and do things. I think I had a love for education. That's one thing I can say. My mom was a very smart woman. My grandmother was a smart woman. So I loved education. So I went to school. I graduated high school early. I went to college, did those type of things. But I was always in the street, and I was pretty good in the street, and that led me to going to prison. I did 10 years in a federal prison for drug trafficking and violent crime. So, when I came out of prison, I wanted to do something different. But while I was in there, I went on an extended vacation, and I saw the country on behalf of the United States government, and I didn't like the vacation. I didn't like the seeing of the country. I started reading a lot of books. I started trying to educate myself. And when I was educating myself, I started learning about laws. I think a lot of times our people go to prison and we pick up, the Donald Goins books, or we pick up the Don Diva magazines and those type of things. And we neglect picking up some books to let us know, what we're going to do on the next, part of life. So when I picked up books, I started learning about laws. And I found out that the federal government had changed the law that they could indict you as young as 12 for a felony, and they can give you the same crime time as they give an adult. So when I'm seeing this, I saw the first wave of 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds coming into prison with 35 years, 40 years, 50 year sentences. And that blew my mind. I'm like, I thought I was young. I'm 21. I'm seeing teenagers come in there. And I learned about Unicor. That's the Federal Prison Industries. And Unicor is basically the plantation that they can use when we get ourselves caught in the net. So when we catch ourselves in the net, they unnet us, they put us in the plantation, and they working you for pennies. They working you for pennies. So if I can get somebody that's 13, 12 years old, and I can give them a life sentence, and I give them the best health care, I give them a place to sleep, I give them somewhere to eat, and I make sure that they get up and they get programmed, because he's still in his programming years at 13. Man, I might got a worker that could work for 80 years. That worker might work 80 years. Yeah. And then what's crazy about it is the back half laws. Like, so they created that for the front half. But when they finish with you and you becoming a burden, they actually created a law where they said it's called the Crime Age Act. You're beyond the crime age years to where you're a threat to society. So they can just put you out on the street. So you done had me for 70 plus years. And now you throwing me on the street and you put me in there before I had any children, before I had any real relationships. My siblings have moved on with their life if they haven't passed away. So what did you put me on the street to do? You put me on the street to die because they're responsible for your health care in prison. So if you get caught up in that circle, then that circle will carry you from the time you hit to the time you leave. And that just wasn't what I wanted to do for myself or for my kids.
You know, the funny thing is you just proving what I always heard. So how did the DC dudes always be become so intelligent? That's one thing I always known. Like when you hear a DC dude, you gotta watch your pocket and you gotta watch what they saying. So where did that intelligence come from? Because I swear every DC dude I talk to is like overly intelligent, especially street guys. Where does that come from?
I mean, if you take a look at it, most of the street guys that, you know, went to prison in the 80s and the 90s, most of them dudes had education. They graduated from high school. Someone was in college or they was going to college while they were still in the street. It wasn't a fly thing in DC to be stupid. Back then, dudes look at you and be like, damn, Slim, you ain't going to school? Man, I ain't got time for that. Man, you was a dummy. I mean, some of the flyest dudes that was really getting money, they went to school. Yeah. That was when you showed your clothes off. If you had cars, you showed your cars off. Where you see all the girls at, you know. And some of it was sad to say at that time was the place where you might have conducted most of your business because almost all of the dudes you dealt with, they was in your class or in your age range. So that was where you might have made most of your money Monday through Friday at school.
Well, let me ask you this. So you being in this position is almost like not a big deal because from what I heard, you was a fly dude back in the day, man. So I know all this little attention is kind of nothing new for you. How do you handle that? Because you kind of already seen it on a smaller scale.
Because I don't get caught up in it. You know, even when I was young and in the streets, I wasn't caught up in it. You know, I like the fly things. I like cars. I like clothes. I like jewelry. But I wasn't gonna get so caught up in it to where I finished my life broke. You know, that was one of the things. Like, you could hustle and you could get money. I knew a lot of dudes that was getting money back in the day, and I see them nowadays and they teeth raggedy. They ain't got nowhere to stay. They ain't got no transportation. And I tell my kids when I see them, I say, Slim, back in the day, that was a fly dude, man. The Slim was fly. He was getting that bag. He had all the bras. But when you see him now, he didn't have an exit plan. He didn't have, what am I going to do on the back end? I'm going to be older longer than I'm going to be younger. So what's my plan? That's what they didn't have. It was like the old coaches used to say, piss poor preparation leads to piss poor performance. I was one of them guys that wanted to prepare so I could perform well.
Yeah, I'm gonna let my guy Puerto Rican Tommy. I know my other guy Tommy wanted to ask you a question. Go ahead, you guys. My bad.
All right. Well, I'll go. I'm sorry. Well, it's interesting. I just wanted, to talk a little bit more about your son, as far as like, how did you guys feel off your last fight? Now, mind you, I'm from the Bronx, and Pistol Pete is one of my guys. That T. Dawson. I know Pistol Pete. He's a good dude. What did you feel after the fight? Like, the highs and the lows, like the plus and minuses. Like, what did you take from it?
I'm always excited when I see my son fight, and it's not just because he's fighting or winning. Because I was excited like this in the amateurs. I was excited because I got to see it. I got to be a part of it. I got to nurture and mold him so that hopefully his decision-making process is better than mine was. I'm excited because when my grandmother, she's 94 years old, she still comes to the fight. She was at that fight. She get to see us doing something that's productive. Like I said, I would give my grandmother anything. And if she needed something or wanted something, we gonna get it. That was period, point blank. But she couldn't be proud to say, oh, my grandson got it because he out there selling drugs back then. And I wanted my grandmother to be able to tell anybody she know, man, my grandson is doing this with his son. My grandson got a good job. He's making a difference. That's what I felt that I owed her, because she never didn't stick by me. Even in my worst situations of incarceration, she still was there for me. So, that's my excitement. I know the boy can fight. That's the one thing I know he can do. I trained him how to fight, but best believe I give all the praise to God, because his talent is a gift. None of us can purchase a gift. A gift has to be given to you. So God gave him a gift. God just gave me the responsibility of nurturing the gift.
That's awesome. That's great. And you speak so highly of your grandmother, and I can appreciate that. Me, I born and raised in the Bronx. I didn't grow up with my parents. And who took care of me, my brothers and my sisters? It was my aunt, which we called our grandmother. Our aunts, she lived to be like 98 years old. She took care of all of us. It was 6 of us, and and she's a major backbone of our entire family. And I salute you and your grandmother for that, and as well as mine. So I totally understand what you're saying. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think all of us should appreciate our grandmothers, whoever that grandmother figure was, because in the 80s, your grandmama raised you. I don't care who you was. I don't care what your parents did. Your grandmother raised you.
Facts.
And my grandmother's still doing for me today.
Man, they do for you for their entire life, man.
Yeah.
My grandmother gave my grandmother gave Jalil $21 on his birthday. He said, "What's this for?" He said, "Grandma, what's this for?" She said, "That's a birthday present." He said, "Man, $1 for everything you've been living." He's like, "Grandma, I'm good." She was like, "No, baby. That's what I give everybody." I was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
This boy got some Louis Vuitton tennis shoes, and she gave him $21. Hey, and my wife mother do one better. She give you socks, and I love looking forward to my socks and my curry shrimp. So the little things mean a lot to them women. So respect and love them, because we don't got that many more grandmas no more. These grandmas 31.
Yeah. That's facts.
Let me ask you this real quick before time to go. So when you talk about having your grandmother, what was when you first came home from prison? I got a lot of guys who watch. When you first came home from prison, what motivated you not to go backwards?
My grandmother. My grandmother was with me through thick and thin. My grandmother made sure everything was done. I want to use that, and I thank you for that question, my brother. I appreciate y'all, because this is not the conversation I thought we was gonna have.
Of course not.
I want to educate some young brothers on something.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to court, and I'm speaking from the federal court level, when you go to court, the judge has to do more than just sentence you. He has to say what your status is when you get to court, what your status is when you go to prison, all of that stuff. So when I'm going through court, my lawyer and the judge was having a conversation on something I knew nothing about. My lawyer said, "Can you consider my client to be indigent during his prison time?" And the judge asked for my pre-sentencing report, everything, what you got, what you have, all that type of stuff. And he said, due to the pre-sentencing report, we do not have Mr. Hackett considered to be indigent status worthy. I'm looking like, what is that? Am I going home or staying longer? He said, "Nah, that just means you owe all the bills you got on the street. You still owe the bills every month." Hey, man, I ain't never know what that word was. I try to educate all my young black men. The word indigent is a word that you will only hear in court, so don't go to court to hear it. And because of that, I still had to pay child support and stuff, like if I was on the street. So every month, I hit my grandma. "Hey, grandma, send me some money." And I gotta send it to the streets for my child support. Anything I left on the street, my grandmother took care of it. And then I got a job when I was in Unicor. I sent that money home. My grandmother made sure that my money went to the bank, and then she went to the bank, made sure that they set up my accounts. When I found out it was good for me to do that. Mr. Furrier, his son used to be with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was my counselor in Petersburg. When I was in Petersburg, that man would say, "You can come to my office anytime. When I needed to send some money home, I could take it out of my account, send it home. If I needed to get something done with my kids, whatever it was, he was a great man. He was a black man that was like, hey, brother, let me help you navigate this. So I respect him 100%. But my grandmother, she was the reason, because she went through that for the better part of 10 years. I couldn't make her do that again.
You know, I gotta ask you this, man, because when you have, and maybe I'm wrong, I look at my grandmother as my mother as well. When you have a mother like that, do you ever had that feeling when you were in trouble, like, man, I bet she wanted to, what did I raise? Do you ever feel that embarrassment of getting in trouble while having a great grandmother like that?
I'm gonna say yes and no. The reason I say yes and no, because if you came up in the 80s and the early 90s, it was hard out here. It was hard. Nobody's mother wanted nobody to be no drug dealer. But when you was making $4.20 an hour, think what the minimum wage. We in DC, we just got this fight for 15. People make $18. But less than 10 years ago, people was just trying to get $7.60. How you gonna raise somebody in a family off $7.60? So your mother and your family didn't want you to be that, but circumstances might have contributed to you having to be that. So it wasn't necessarily an embarrassment unless you was out here splurging, but your family was doing bad. Then that was the embarrassment. So you had that embarrassment even without going to prison. But if your family was trying to do good and things like that, it was just a hurting feeling that you couldn't see it all the way through and then get out and make life better for your family. And I think when you look at any young people, especially if you look at little kids, they give you the best example of this. What hurts a kid more, embarrassment or feeling disappointment in the person that they like to see happy?
Probably disappointment.
Disappointment.
That's right. So the embarrassment is when I fall down and get some ice cream on my shirt. But the disappointment is when they look at you and be like, man, you know, did it have to be that way? So disappointment hurts far more than embarrassment.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Puerto Rican Tommy.
No, man, we're doing good, man. We it's like you said, we're doing a totally different conversation, but this is good, man. This is good for the people here to hear your story. This is awesome. You know, we all come from, you know, different backgrounds and stuff. So go ahead, BB.
No, I say that I always mess with Puerto Rican Tommy because you'd be surprised how much Spanish people and blacks share stuff in common. So I ask you this: what was the hardest part of coming out of prison after all that time, after a decade, and trying to be a father to those kids that you didn't necessarily touch and see as much as you wanted to? What was that like?
It was tough. You know, my kids, we always had love. It's never been no not love. And once again, I always say my grandmother made sure that my kids wasn't free running. They wasn't free running. You know, she made sure I stayed in touch with them. You know, their moms, we had respectable relationships before I left the street because I wasn't no deadbeat dude. So they made sure I had pictures. They made sure that I talked to my kids. You know, try to be as much of a parent as you can be, even based on the situation. You know, so that was you know what we dealt with there. It was 100% tough, but the hardest part for me was coming back home. And people always talk about they don't have no real friends, and you find out when you go to prison you don't have no real friends. That's correct. I won't say that that's wrong, but sometimes when you come home, you found out you had some real friends. And for me to try and go to work, and they'll see me working. My first job was at B. Frank Joy Construction. I did that when I was in Halfway House. My second job was working at CVS, and my job after that was working at George Washington University. And then I finally got a great opportunity because I stuck to my path, and where I've been working at for the longest period of time is SEIU 32BJ. So for me, some of my friends in the street, when I came home, they were like, bro, we can't see you out here doing this slave labor for these white folks. That's what they say, for these white people, man. Yeah. We got you don't owe us nothing. Just take it, get back on your feet. I'm like, nah, champ. I can't take that and get back on my feet. You trying to put me back on my knees. I can't do that. I can't do that, champ. I say, nah, I gotta do it this way, man. I tried it that way. I gotta do it this way. You know, and some of them was good dudes. You know, I don't want to put none of them out there because they was really great guys to me, but they looked out for me, made sure I had fresh clothes. They were like, bro, look, you might not take none of this work. You might not take no money from us, but you're not gonna be running around this joint wearing some Wrangler jeans and some old beat up t-shirts. That's not happening, champ. You still live in our neighborhood. We got something to uphold. Can't do that, champ. So they, bringing me clothes and stuff. I respected them for that, man. One of my good men. I was in the halfway house. He talked to my aunt. My aunt was like, "Hey, your man in the halfway house, man. He bought 2 trash bags of brand new clothes to me in the halfway house."
Mm-hmm.
My second day there, he bought me 2 trash bags of clothes. He was like, "Bro, got some new stuff." So, the hardest part is having real guys that you got to kind of tell them, we can't be real like that no more. We got to be real in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you say being real, I want you to speak to that, because I know a lot of people kind of misconstrue what real is, because they don't say, hey, a man getting up and going to work every day. They don't say, hey, that's a man that's real. They say, causing mayhem and chaos. I want you to kind of expound on that for us.
Now, I'm gonna say we talked about the grandmothers a lot, but we not going to downplay our grandfathers. Our grandfathers was the original hustlers. When we say hustler, we ain't talking about you was selling heroin, cocaine, or any of that stuff. We talking about a real hustler. Your grandfather had a 9 to 5. Now for me, my grandfather had a 9 to 5. He drove a cab. He had a evening hustle. He doing whatever he did on the side. He had numerous jobs to make sure we was good. My grandfather never missed a beat. My grandfather, my son is named after my grandfather. My son Robert, his name is Robert Henry Hackett. He does music now. The company that I formed for my kids in 2011 is called Robert Hackett Collection, because everybody that came from my children, my grandfather, all of us, we came from that man. We are his collection. We got to look at ourselves like that. So much we fighting for the first name, but we fuck up the last name. And my grandfather, they was hustlers. We was selling drugs. They was hustlers.
Right.
I tell people, do not confuse that. Drugs sell they self. Hustlers got to go find work. They got to do what they got to do. So that to me was that part of that. So I never want to remiss the grandfathers, but that was my whole thing. I heard one of the brothers on here saying that, they was from the same spot Pete from. And I want to say Pete had a hell of a showing for his block. Anybody on his block, his neighborhood, they should be like, Slim, you represented for us. Because we done got this fucked up. Representing don't mean I always come out on the top side. It's like you represented what our fabric is made of.
Yeah.
That's why that be real. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna be 100. All that. These youngsters got it messed up because if you didn't succeed or you wasn't on the top side, you wasn't keeping it 100. You ain't do this. Back then, if your neighborhood got in a fight and they could depend on you to fight, or you kept it 100. But it was the one that they couldn't depend on, man. He pick and choose when he come out with us. He wasn't keeping it 100. If you was a school dude and you stuck to school, you didn't drink, you didn't smoke, you didn't do none of that, they was like, man, Slim, that ain't his thing. He keeping it 100 with himself. See, keeping it 100 is being 100 within the person you are. Playing 50 is mean when you in front of your mother, you act like this. When your mother not around, you act. That's where all that came from when we was young. Oh, he gonna play 50 because his mother out here. That's what that meant. We all did it. With our mother out there, we look one way. When she gone, oh man, come on, man. Yeah, that's where all that came from. It had nothing to do with the streets. We was little kids with that. Because we played 50 when our mother was there or our grandmother, but we played 100 when we was with the fellas. So they like, come on, man, keep it 100. So when your mother walked out there and y'all looking crazy, or you got that beer bottle in your hand, the fellas be like, man, here come your mother, but keep it 100. Keep it 100 if you a grown dude. Keep it 100, and you do the 50. So that's what we gotta keep these kids, man. We can't let these kids think that Calvin is telling them the truth. If you old like me, you remember that old McDonald's commercial with the dude Calvin back in the 80s was working at McDonald's. By the 90s, Calvin owned the McDonald's. And Calvin would tell you all the stories about what came up. Don't let these Calvins trick our sons, because that's what's happening. A lot of these dudes that's giving you all these X, Y, and Z stories, Most of them dudes wasn't even out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they came out of the house when everything got cool. They came out the house and they came out in 92 when a lot of them dudes was already in. You know, if nobody want to tell true stories, you know, if a dude pressed you out and he was pressing everybody in the city, if he didn't press you out because he didn't want to waste the time, because you ain't really got nothing for me to press you for. Man,
Yeah.
man, that dude, man, Slim pressed him out and he just took his money. He wouldn't have did that to me. Yeah, because you don't have no money. So don't give it a falsehood. If you're gonna tell these kids stuff, make sure you tell them the truth. When you go to prison, you behind bars. You have no freedom. You got to do what you told. If you in situations where you in there with them type of dudes that got them type of numbers, you gotta fight for your manhood. You gotta prove you a man. Ain't no, oh man, he came in prison and he got a beard, he got a bald head, he a man. Shit, them niggas gonna make you prove that. They say, man, it's a lot of motherfuckers with bald heads that like dresses. There's a lot of niggas with beards that like dress. So those, now you gonna have to prove that. And when you say these dudes got stripes, do you know? I tell these youngers, do you know what you got to do to earn stripes? See, they think because they got a gun and they shoot a person in the street, that give them stripes. Half of them are shooting people that's non-violent people. So you don't get credit for killing somebody that wasn't thinking about killing you. Back in the 80s, people had intentional murders. They meant to kill the person they was killing. Now, a lot of these accident homicides. They spray a whole block and they
I'm about to say the young boys coming. Like I'm out here toward Philly. I'm actually in the South Jersey area, but the young boys in Philly, man, they spray up the whole block. They don't care who outside, but they just sprayed up the block, man. And it used to be like that back in the day.
Nah, and that's part of the things that these youngers they hearing nowadays. I tell a lot of these kids, man, stop believing these rappers, bruh. You know, half of these rappers that y'all believe is 20 and he off the chain. He ain't 20, he 35 and got a college degree. He just he understood acting like a buffoon, acting like a clown is the hustle point to make the money. But he's not a fool, he's not a clown. And the ones that you see who catching 50-year sentences, they are true to life fools and they are clowns and they really are 22, 23. And you see they crashed out by the time they 23. Don't get entertainment confused.
And you know, when you talk about that, let me ask you, I gotta ask you the question that we all want to, because I talked to a few people that said your name rang bells in the city. How did you say, you know what, it's not, and I noticed when you talk about your son, how do you go from, because you was the man, how do you be like, you know what, it ain't about me, it's about him? How do you turn it over, man? Because when you was known like you were in the city, it's kind of hard to say, you know what, it ain't about me no more. How did you do that?
It ain't hard. Shit, it ain't hard. Some of the guys before I went to prison, that's why I said you have to have an exit plan. Some of the people I hung around and some of the guys that helped mold me when I was in the street, including my stepfather, the goal was to get to the point where nobody saw you. The goal flipped around where everybody want to be seen. When I do stuff with my sons, especially with Jalil, my goal is to not be seen. I can handle more business with you not seeing me than I can handle with everybody seeing me and knowing me. That's the goal. I need to be behind the scenes. If you ever think back in the day, the dude that was on the corner who was really getting money, besides a handful, and I mean a small handful, that was the figurehead. It was an old dude that was making him be what he was. He could do more behind the scenes instead of being seen. That was just the reality of it. I mean, if you look in a lot of major cities, you only have a handful of guys that was in my age group back then that was actually sitting at the big boy table. You had the Rayful Edmonds, you had the dudes from New York like Boy George. You had a lot of heavy dudes, but most of them was older. Them was young dudes. That was a rare thing.
Yeah.
You know that you didn't have a million of them running loose doing that. You know, the goal was to get to the point where nobody sees you.
Yeah, so and I'm gonna go ahead after this. I'm gonna ask you one last question. I'm gonna let Tommy and them ask you boxing questions. But so when you talk about how you like to be from behind the scenes, let me know this. Whenever I hear you talk, man, and you talk about the different people who helped you, how come it always seems as if, man, you are so willing to give it back? Where does that big heart come from? Is that something that you just grew on the street, or because it seems like you got a big heart in this game? How did you get that?
Just like I said once again, my grandmother was my star. This way before being in the streets. When I was a little kid, we ain't have a lot, but I could bring home any of my friends, and my grandmother made sure if you wanted something to eat, that you could eat, and it wasn't no pettiness with it.
Yeah.
You know, if my friends will tell you, a lot of them could spend the night at my house. You know, my grandmother wasn't the type of person, and it wasn't like we had no extra room, but she was like, I ain't gonna see the kid on the street. Sunday mornings, we used to play football on Sunday mornings before NFL came on. All my friends, everybody knew if you come to my grandmother's house, you could walk out of there with a plate. She wasn't no hating woman. She had a good heart. She'd give anybody anything. She never made us feel like, we were second-class citizens. And even when I went to prison, a lot of my friends would go by the house and check on her, make sure she was good. One of my good friends, Apple, he used to go around grandma's house and he'd say, man, when I called, he said, hey man, I took grandma trash out. She gave me a plate of spaghetti. He was like, she don't have to feed me. I just want to make sure it's good. I was like, you know how she is. You know how she is. Shut that door. Yeah, that's just how she works.
Yeah, and it's good. You know what, man? It's good to see brothers showing that kind of kindness, because one thing, as my man Martin said on the famous line, we don't know how to finesse each other and be nice to each other, man. We don't know how to be nice to each other. So that's a good thing. I'm gonna let Puerto Rican Tommy and Be Free and my man Pryor take some boxing questions. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, I don't have much. I mean, to be real with you, man, you touched me, and I appreciate you telling us, your story and stuff, because it reminds me of my aunt, and she took care of all of us and stuff. And it wasn't easy, but we were very fortunate, to have somebody like that in our lives to keep us on the right track and to do the right thing for our kids. I'm a father and I got 2 kids and they're doing well, and you're a father, and we know about one son. I don't know of the other kids, and he's doing well. So I just want to salute you. I know D Free's been here for a minute and Prize Fighter. So if you guys, you guys go ahead, jump in and get any questions as well. But I just wanted to salute you for that, man. That was great, and it just touched me because it just made me think of my aunt as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And just think, Brother Bernard, he never say nothing nice like that. That's a Puerto Rican talking. So salute to him, man.
Yeah, he's always killing me from the Bronx. He says that people from the Bronx are the worst people in the world. This guy's terrible, man. We're not that bad.
Hey,
that's crazy.
Brother Bernard, they will eat a whole lot of donut.
That's crazy.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, when was the first time you saw your son and you said, you know what, I want to make him a boxer? Or was it something that he came to you with?
He more or less did that. I wanted my kids to be special in whatever they chose to be. But when you ask that question, that's a really good question, because before he was born, I knew, I hate to say it, I knew it was something different about him before he was born. And the reason I say that, because I try and make each one of my kids' name have some significance, not just pulling something out the sky. And the whole time I was thinking about my son, when I got the name Jalil, I wanted to make sure I understood it. And the understanding of it is so variated because a lot of people spell it differently, or they have different ways of putting it. And his is Jalil. And that means somebody who would be looked upon to be a leader, to be special, and his middle name is Major. That people always think that Major is a nickname. No, that is his God-given name. He was born Jalil Major Hackett.
Okay.
And when I was growing up, especially all of us, when we was young, I'm 52. I'm 51, actually. I'll be 52 next year. But when we were young, college football and all that stuff was big. And I remember watching Major Harris, who played at West Virginia, be the first black man to take a team to the national championship as the quarterback. We was receivers and all that, but we was never looked at as the man. We was the quarterback. And at that time, West Virginia was still considered a small school up in the mountains. He took that team all the way to the national championship, and they lost to Notre Dame. But back then, Notre Dame was the power. So for them just to get to that game, and a black man did it, that was amazing. And then another young guy that I respected, quarterback, Major Applewhite. He was an undersized guy who did more with less. So that to me was the perfect name for my son, Jalil Major Hackett. Be held in high esteem and looked at to be a leader, but be able to lead your people and do more with less. So, you know, that was when I noticed it all his life. But when I wanted him to play football, I wanted him to be like his brother Colin and play football. But Jalil played, he was good at football, but he would go to the gym with me because I was working with other fighters. I was in the gym working with, you know, great people. I learned a lot of my coaching ways from Gary Russell Sr. because I was in the gym with them for a lot of years and learned a lot of this game from him. And then working with my best pro guy that I worked with before my son even got to the point where he was a boxer was Maurice Bond, heavyweight out of Philadelphia, but he was living here in DC. And my son would be with me so much, and he would just be in the gym running around. He used to give Gary fits, you know, one pull the gloves, do all the stuff he saw them doing. Antoine and Tonio, they were like uncles to him, and it just being around. And Coach Herb Martin, who used to be one of the coaches there too, and also was one of the Olympic team coaches, he used to be like, "Let me just work with Jalil." So he would work with him sometimes on the mitts or on the bag, and Jalil would come home, be like, "Come on, work with me." And after a while, you know, I was like, "Jalil, you don't want to box, you want to play football." He was like, "Nah." I said, "Well, if you box, you got to still play football." So he played football and boxed for a couple of years. And then when I saw him really starting to progress, he said, "I don't want to play football no more." I said, "Hey, come on, you know, you can just box." And as he grew up as a kid, because I want him to always enjoy his childhood, he played lacrosse, he ran track, he did soccer, he did everything, but he
Just an
always
all-around
would
athlete.
never, he would always go back to boxing. And so, you know, hey, I knew letting him do what he wanted to do and
Well,
help him pursue
I
his dream.
appreciate you for that, for letting him choose boxing because I'm a fan of him. What do y'all got? Is there anybody that y'all want to target next specifically, or y'all just waiting for that call? Or I know you said you're gonna have him in shape, ready to go. There's nobody particularly that he's got his eyes on. He's just waiting.
Let me say this. I've been around this sport a long time, and I've seen a lot of great fighters. And the one thing I've seen is if you're making a good fighter, if you want to make a good fighter and a potential champion or a champion, you got to chase people. But if you want to make a star, you got to let him cut his own path, and then people will chase him. I want to make a star. I want my son to be a star.
Bars.
I think he has all the
Bars.
potential to be and all the talent. So for me, it's not focusing on one guy or one situation. I want to make people want to chase him. The three guys that I've always told people in interviews that I never want to, you know, fight. I have no desire to fight them. Is Bud, Earl, and Boots. And the reason I say those three, and I've said it for years, even before he turned pro.
You said Tio too?
Huh?
Did you say Tio?
I said Boots, Earl, and Bud.
Ain't nobody think about no Teofimo Lopez.
What you meant?
Nah, let me say this, man. Teofimo is my guy. He's been my guy since the amateurs. I can show old pictures of him. He's always been a very good inspiration to Jalil. I think the way Tio fight anybody. And if Jalil and Tio at the right weight class and the money is right, I don't think either one of them would turn down a fight against each other.
No doubt.
But when it comes to those guys, those are the only three that I X'd off. But if my son blazes his path the way he's been doing it and the way things are going, he's gonna be the one they're chasing. Same way that I look at Gervonta Davis. Gervonta don't have to call out nobody because they blaze their own path. So if you're the star, all of the clouds and everything else got to chase you because you provide the light. So if my son is providing the light, those fights will come to him.
And when you say that, I'm gonna ask you, but I forgot to ask you, what was it like being around Gary Russell Sr., man? he's like a mystery man, but was a boxing savant. I mean, everybody talking about Big Gary said he knew boxing, almost had like a love affair with boxing. So what was it like being around a guy like that?
Man, that was a man that was married to the game. He was married to the game. Eat, sleep, live boxing. From the time I ever came in contact with him to the time he passed away, I talked to him 2 days before he passed away. We would always talk about boxing. One of the realest things that I can say about him is he put everything in his kids. He made his boys exactly what he wanted them to be. It's not by accident he had multiple sons that represented the country in the Olympics. It's not by accident that all his sons are top-rated fighters. It's not by accident that Gary Russell Jr. won a world championship. It's not by accident that Antoine is doing what he's doing, and he's gonna get another crack at gaining a championship. I tell people all the time, Antonio Russell, if they want to see a great fight at the smaller weight classes, I'd love to see Antonio Russell fight Monster Inoue. I think it'll be a great fight because of what I've seen him do all his life.
I can't let you get away with that. No, coach. I cannot let you get away with that against Inoue.
Against Inoue.
Wow.
Against Monster Inoue. Why? I don't see why. I don't see why he would get hurt. I think he can win.
I think he can beat him. I think he can
win.
I mean, Japanese Floyd.
Yes.
Did you just say? He didn't just say the Japanese.
No damn Japanese Floyd. That boy.
Did you just say that?
He beat one guy. To me. Two guys.
You gotta forgive my brother Bernard, because he's from Philly pretty much, so that's why he's so biased, as if he didn't see that beating. Go ahead, Freak.
You know you barking up the wrong tree when you're talking about the Russells, right?
Yeah, he tripping.
That's a guy. He's actually Gary Singer is his nephew.
Let me tell you this. When it comes to the smaller weight classes, I've seen Tonio hit some very big guys and hurt them real bad. If you go back to an amateur fight, you can look it up on YouTube. Gary Antonio Russell, Millersville, Maryland. You pull it up. His father said, Tonio, right now, he threw 3 punches. Boom, 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 and it was over. So it was like we only do rounds until our father say, get this over with right now. And he put him to sleep. The boy a monster.
Well, BBO has some weird fixation with Monster Inoue. I mean, I think he is good, and he is, because I'll put him in the pound for pound list, but
most definitely.
It's just that, like, them dog fights like that, I don't think he ready for that. I want to see him come over here and beat Cool Boy. I want to see him come over here and beat some of these guys.
Brother Bernard, you see what I'm saying?
Man, I'm gonna say this.
I'm gonna tell you why he said it, Brother Bernard. He only said that because I'm black and he's West Indian. That's why he said that.
Let me tell you, man. Cool boy Steph in box styles make fights. Cool boy Steph can fight. And stylistically, that might have been a bad matchup for Cool Boy Steph, but Steph can fight. Steph can flat out fight.
I don't think it was that, man. I think it was just that he had to be over there, eat the food. He had to be over there. I think that kind of. I'm glad he got his money right, though. You know, seeing him around, he looks good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was a bad matchup, though. It was a bad matchup.
Yeah, I agree it was, but I still think he could beat him right now.
I don't put nothing past Steph because, like I said, I seen Steph train. I seen Steph fight. Steph do it. Don't let that Cool Boy Steph thing. Don't let that fool you. Yeah. Steph can dog it out. And sometimes I think every person has had a stylistic matchup that just was like this. Even if they won, they be like, man, if I ain't gotta fight him no more, I'm not fighting him.
Well, the last
Shane Mosley and Vernon Forrest. Yeah, it was just terrible for Shane Mosley.
Yeah, that was a bad match. But real quick to go back, the last few fights before Inoue, Fulton was fighting more than boxing. Like, he was engaging more and he was getting into those firefights. And I think that's what kind of messed him up going into that Inoue fight. So I think the time off is going to help him. He'll go back to what got him there, boxing, and he'll be a champion again. There's no doubt about that. But Yeah, to your point, yeah, Sugar Shane, that was a bad matchup. With Mayorga was a bad matchup for him, and
for Vernon,
for Vernon.
For Vernon, you right.
Yeah,
that was
what do you remember? Let me ask you this, Brother Bernard. Do you remember there was a guy named Figueroa that really gave it to Cool Boy and they stole it from him? They stole it from him.
No, that was a close fight. He won that fight.
I'm
gonna say that once again. When you talk about styles make fights, if you put two fighters who are superb boxers in the ring together, and they are great boxers, the average person gonna get up and walk out because it's not what they came to see. But if you get that one superb boxer versus that one stalking banger, that's a fight that they want to see. If you get two bangers, they want to see that. I'm not one that's caught up into this certain reputation of how fighters go. I had people tell me, man, we saw Jalil get hit more than we've seen him hit in his whole pro career. I said, you also saw him in there with one of the best fighters he's been in with his whole pro career. Jalil's style is made for him to be able to try to get you out of there, but he's gonna get hit. If you get into this game and don't think you're gonna get hit, you're not gonna be here long. That's why you see some guys get knocked out and they can't never come back because they never thought that was part of the game. Like, oh shit, this is fun till you get put to sleep. That's why Manny Pacquiao great to me. Not because Manny Pacquiao won all the fights, that's good too, but he got put to sleep and came back and was a champion again. That's because he understood you're gonna get hit in this game.
Man, did you teach him that Mexican style? Did you teach Jalil that Mexican style? Because I don't see it all the time, but that's the sweet science. He come and fight like a Mexican. I like that. Did you teach him that, or that's something he do?
I did. I'm gonna tell you this: when Jalil first really wanted to get into the boxing, I didn't stress learning how to box. I wanted to see if he could fight. I seen a lot of heartless boxers. As soon as they get in there with a guy that want to fight, they go hide somewhere and they fall on the ground. So I wanted to see if my son. We really didn't start pushing the boxing aspect till my son was probably 11. Until he was 11. You can go back on YouTube. My son fought in the regionals one year for the silver gloves. He had broke one of the plate bones in his elbow, and he spent most of the time really couldn't do nothing because I kept saying, Jalil, what's wrong? You all right? He was like, man, my elbow's sore. He won the locals, went to the regionals. I'm like, Jalil, you only using one hand. After the second night, the doctor was like, they could see it too. And when he squeezed on his arm, he said, it hurt. And they was like, well, look, if he injured tomorrow, he's not going to fight. They let him fight the next day, but they wouldn't let him continue. I took him home, went to the doctors. He was fighting with a broken plate bone in his elbow and couldn't even throw it. And when they put a cast on him, and this stuff you can go back and look at pictures and see videos, he was in the gym training with a cast on.
Wow.
You know, so I think that a lot of times we teach kids all of the trickery before we teach them the basics, and we tricked ourselves because we didn't find out this kid ain't had a heart for this until he get in there with a dog. I wanted to see what I was working with before I even got to that point. So by the time he learned how to box, he was already so comfortable with fighting. We had to kind of make him box.
I like when he fight though. I don't like all that box. I like when he fight.
I'm more of a boxing guy. I like to see him box and move around and style. I like that more so than him getting in there. I like to mix it up too, but I'm more so the sweet science type of guy.
No, he want to see you run. He want to see you run, Coach.
I don't want to see you run. BBO call it running though. BBO he wants you to go in there and do rock'em sock'em robot until you have brain damage when you're 30-something years old. That's what BBO wants you to do.
I gotta ask you this, man. I gotta ask you this before you got here, man. What do you feel about the gentrification of DC, man? They don't even feel like the same city, man. What happened?
Time progresses. Once again, time brings change, and things change with time. We can go to any major city that's doing well right now and see the changes in it. We can just like we say that about DC, about other cities. When we go to cities that it hasn't happened in, we look at them and say, man, they in a time warp. It's like we damned if you do, damned if you don't. But for us that are as we gotten older, we don't want to see our kids grow up in the same city we grew up in, especially if we knew it was hard, but we enjoyed it. We want to see things do better. I think that's the trapping point for a lot of our communities that haven't done better because they've gotten stuck in, remember the old days? People got killed. People were dying of heroin overdoses. People didn't graduate from school. It's like the good time syndrome. You know, easy credit ripoffs, good times. Ain't we lucky we got them good? Everything you just sang about was all bad. Why do we want our kids to grow up in good times?
That's true.
Hey man, you know, that's all we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once again, we use that as our excuse because it's not all we know, because we went from looking for the worst job to trying to find better jobs. We're trying to move our kids out of that into another community. So it's like we got to go change the mind of the community, and then we change the community. We can't just put paint on top of it. And what has happened is they've started herding us like cattle to other less prominent neighborhoods or less prominent sections of a city so that they can put paint, put new benches, everything, and then move other people into that community. You know, so if that community changed, it didn't change because we bettered our community. We just moved the people in that community somewhere else. And you know, we got to stop that. You know, we got to start making our young people, like my son and younger fighters. Some of these young fighters now, like the Teofimos, the Tanks, the Devin Haney's, the Shakur Stevensons, they still young and they getting money. I like what Tank did. He went back and bought his community and said, I want to change the community. Go back and buy your city. When if you could, I tell all of them, include my son, if you want to go get you a $2,000 pair of shoes, you should, because you do a job that could cost you your life. But when you start getting certain levels of money, dump a little bit of that money back into your community. Dump some of that. Adopt the rec center. You can literally go there and adopt your rec center, and the kids know you and they respect you. If they see you not messing up your rec center, don't you think they gonna have respect and pride? Because man, the champ bought our rec center. You know, he bought this back, he bought that back. Boost and my son, they have a lot of back and forth good conversations because Boost been like a older brother mentor to him, and Bozy has been the same for me. I think next summer they talking about bringing a team from DC up to play a team in Philly. And it could be in the neighborhood park, or it could be at the high school. But it's gonna be something that you bring the kids to from the community and let them see these games. Then Boost bring his guys down here. We gotta start giving at a different level in our communities so these kids can see it's not a dream for you to escape through different avenues. Because if you look at it, rec league sports are becoming too expensive for our kids to play.
For sure.
Yeah.
They making rec league sports the new suburban thing. So the kid that could play from the inner city, he not getting that same chance to be seen because you just moved it all out to the suburbs. That kid need that opportunity. You know, I respect Coach Hurley. He was in the community coaching for a long time before he took the jump to the college and all that stuff. I respect them type of guys.
He did.
Yeah.
But I know you're a football fan, and I heard, and I want to know if this is true.
Okay.
I know you're a big football fan, and I heard your favorite team is the Cleveland Browns. Is that true?
No, indeed. I am a Raiders fan through and through, whether they losing or not. And then
how did that happen? Now you gotta tell me how that happened.
I'm gonna tell you how that happened.
Tell me how that happened, because I would never root against the Eagles. So tell me how that happened.
Bo Jackson?
Nah.
No? Okay.
Nah, you gotta go further than that. As a kid, every kid in my era wanted to be a running back. And at the time,
Marcus Allen.
Man, come on, man.
No?
Man, come on.
Marcus Allen was the truth, though. Stop it.
Hey, Marcus Allen was the truth. You are 100%, and I love that. But I'm going before then. Kenny King. Kenny King, number 33, was the running back with the Raiders, man. Kenny King.
Really took it back.
Yeah. I love Kenny King as a kid, man. So, you know, coming with that, and then coming with that silver and black. just that silver and black, it stood out. And I think I was a kid when the Redskins played the Raiders in the Super Bowl, and Marcus Allen reversed the whole field and took that thing to the house. Man, I think my grandma wanted to slap me with a slipper. Sit down. But
the
that was my
uniform in football. The best colors in football, the Raiders. The best jersey in football is the Raiders, hands down.
Oh
no, it's the brown. It's the brown. It's the brown.
That's
no question. That silver and black, man. You see people all across the country wearing that silver and black. They call it Raider Nation. So that was it. Now, the only time I couldn't root for them after that was when they played the hometown team, but then I just wouldn't root for nobody. But when it comes to football, that's silver and black. But if I get Jalil out here, man, you would have thought Jalil was on cloud 9. He's a diehard Eagles fan.
Really?
Wow, that's a horrible team.
Diehard Eagles fan.
He's gonna be mad as hell this year because Washington about to take it all.
Man, hey, bro, he gonna be shy. We was up in Philly. I said, man, you see where the old birds come to die. He was so mad. He was so mad. I said, look at that beautiful stadium, stadium with an open top, because they know where them birds coming at the die.
Never that. We don't get our get back.
You got to settle something for us. We got one of my co-hosts who thought Darryl Green was better than Deion Sanders. Can you tell us who you thought was better?
Darryl Green was faster, but Prime, it wasn't nothing in the league like Prime. Nothing. Nothing in the league like man, the man, what they say, the man was so nice, he had 2 nicknames, Prime Time and Neon Dion.
Yeah. And not to mention people was packing the stadium to come see a cornerback play, not a quarterback or a receiver, a cornerback.
Man, what Buddy was it Buddy Ryan that fired the kicker because he kicked the ball to Dion? He said, I told you, kick it out of bounds.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Kick the ball to Dion. What is your
that guy was out of the league the next week.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing that happened to that quarterback when that coach told him, don't throw it to Darryl Green side. He threw it, sat his ass down.
Hey, Darryl Green was to me more of an engaging type of corner. To be that small, he wanted to lock up with you. So his job was done more on the physical side. Where Dion's job was more pre-snap. He knew how to take the route away from the receiver. So if you could take the route away, you did something special. Darryl Green was a hell of an all-pro. But Deion Sanders was so good that he could make the other side of the field all pros. Y'all go help Merton Hanks. Y'all go help the dude on the other side. I got this guy. So he got some dudes to go to the Pro Bowl that never went to another Pro Bowl when Deion left.
Hanks, Timmy McDonald, both of them was in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, but when Deion left, them dudes was almost on the auction block.
Hey, but the thing I gotta say is, man, I really appreciate you coming by, man, hanging out with us, man. We like to have a lot of fun. Don't take anything we say bad. I always mess with the Puerto Ricans. I'm one of the only shows with 2 Puerto Ricans and a West Indian on here. So, as a brother, man, we gotta have some fun.
Man, hey, look here. Let me tell you something, man. I want to say again. I want to say thank you to Pete Dobson. Hold on one second. Hey, come here real quick. I want to say thank you to Pete Dobson because Pete came in there and did what I needed somebody to do. Yeah. He came in there, he tested, and he pushed Jalil. So Jalil knows within himself that he can do 10 rounds. It's one thing to do 10 and 12 rounds in the gym. It's another thing to be able to say, I feel like I can do it. But you don't know what you could do until you actually do it. Yeah. Hey, I ain't want to bring you out here for nothing, but you got an Eagles fan on here. And I was just telling that the Raiders is the birds go to die in Philly.
No, the birds never that.
Ain't even gonna hold you, fam. This shit might be something. I ain't even gonna lie. We went and got some speed with the defense. With the
Saquon.
We went and got
secondary is still suspect though.
Nah, we went them two rookies. We went and got the white boy and the Spanish youngin that went to Toledo. I think we got something with that. I think we got something there.
Yep.
So you got telling me you got the next Jason Sehorn?
What?
You got the next Jason Sehorn? That was like the last good white corner.
I like him. I like him. You know, it's a fact that ain't been no starting white corners in the league in the last few years.
Yeah.
No starting white corners or safeties. So it's like,
well, this one might be short-lived too. So y'all better get that jersey and hang that joint up in the closet.
I really think he's gonna do something special though.
Hey, y'all gonna finish in last place. Y'all gonna finish in last place.
Man, you bugging.
We got guys that's like really mature, like Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith.
Oh, you mean old guys? Oh, okay.
They're not old.
Young. What's wrong
They
with
young
you?
boys. They young. What are you
Jaylen's a
talking
monster.
about?
He's a beast.
I'm talking about Saquon Barkley, man. He's finished.
Man, Saquon gonna run though. He gonna get it. All we need is 1,000 yards from him. We good.
You need him to play more than 5 games.
I feel like with us, Saquon gonna hit his second prime.
Yep.
Saquon gonna get.
He looked good. He looked good in camp. He's feeling good. He looked good.
I think Saquon with us, the workload is gonna be less, so he's gonna look better. Because we got a receiving core that's decent.
Talk to these boys, man. They forgot about the receivers. You better talk to these boys, man. These boys.
Hey,
it's a Washington fan in here that said he gonna finish number 1, and I don't know where he at.
You know that ain't.
You will see. You will see.
Finish number 1.
That's my cue, man.
Nasty work. That's nasty work.
Y'all gonna see him up in Philly at the games with his hat and his jersey on. Y'all gonna see him.
Yeah, we.
He loved him. Eagles, man.
Those Eagles jerseys do real good when you clean up some shoes, man. You do clean your shoes off real good.
You ain't clean your shoes off with the Eagles jersey. Hey man, I don't think that the Eagles will ever have anybody that will replace Randall Cunningham. Randall was that man. Randall was that man. Randall was Michael Vick before we got Michael Vick.
Oh, he was good old too, man. Remember he almost won in '98 with them Vikings.
Yeah, he was good in Vikings. He was good with
when he came back from his floor company because he was doing floors to mess around a quarterback and almost went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that man bad
against the Atlanta Falcons, the daggone NFC Championship. I was betting on the Vikings that year too.
Man, I thought
Uncle William won that. He was on that Dirty Birds team that lost to John Elway and them. So I was happy either way, man.
Hey man, that's the only guy that I thought had the potential to outthrow Randy Moss' legs.
Yeah, he did. He can reach Randy. Yeah, he can reach Randy. That was Tom Brady too. Tom Brady shows you he can reach Randy, but not like Randy.
Hey, Tom Brady could reach Randy, but remember Tom Brady used to put a lot of air on it. Randall could put that thing on a string,
on a straight line,
and straight line that thing. And I say, man, yeah, he was something special. You know, I think a lot of our greatest black quarterbacks came along in an era where they were not going to let a black man achieve at that level.
Yeah, because Warren Moon never really had a team around him.
No. And Warren was still good with that sorry team in the Oilers, man. He still was good with that sorry team.
No, he was good, but that team had no defense. The Oilers had no defense. They could put up points. Yeah, they could put up points. Remember, they blew the game to Buffalo. That was their best team. That was the way when Buffalo made that comeback against.
You right.
It was like 40. What was it like 40-something to 3 at the half?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah,
but that was because of coaching. Y'all know that run and shoot offense was not designed to run a clock out, and that run and shoot got them there, but that run and shoot killed them.
Yeah,
it did.
But they were supposed to go to the bowl that year.
Yeah, that was the year they should have
won it. That was the year they should have won it.
Yeah,
but you know the good thing though, Coach. This year, you're gonna be crying because the Browns gonna win it all. We're gonna be crying, man.
The Browns gonna win it all. Oh my goodness! last time we felt like that, it was an old man with a grandfather long coat on it.
You know you're wrong for that, Coach. You're wrong for
that, man. Vince Lombardi out that show. I think they were still on black and white TV.
Hey, we won in 1965, man. Stop trying to disrespect us, man. We won in 65, man.
Hey, but three people in your whole city had a color TV in 65.
But 3 people in this whole city seen them win.
Hey, you mentioned the Browns in the playoffs. People start crying. They say Ernest Bonner didn't mean to do that.
Oh, the fumble! Oh man, that was the Browns' best last.
You're wrong for bringing that up, Coach. I ain't gonna forgive you for that. You're wrong for bringing that up, man. That was
he was like 4 years old when that happened.
You're wrong for bringing it up.
Ernest Bonner, man, it was the legends of we should not win that made him fumble. It's like Tyson fighting the dude and the dude beating Mike, and Mike say, "You know you ain't supposed to be beating me," and the man just Ernest Bonner say, "We ain't supposed to do this."
Hey, I knew we a little bit cursed because we was watching the game. Joe Flacco looking like MVP. He getting the dunk. Throwing the ball to the team.
I tried to tell him. He told me, "Oh, Joey Flacco, he looking like the old." I said, "No, just wait for it. Just wait for it.
Just
Flacco. He's going to
man.
But no, he went to the last game throwing all them picks. Man, I was sick.
Man, you know when you ain't supposed to win when the news start off with a car accident. Y'all lost the playoff game. They start off with the top story was a car accident.
That was crazy.
Hey, but you know what, man? You cold, but I can tell you from DC, you cold, man. You ice cold, man.
Hey man, you got to look at these sports and have fun, man. It's when you looking at this stuff. I think that's the thing about boxing. I will never take the fun aspect from my son because when it stopped being fun, you really can't perform. At the end of the day, these fighters and all these athletes, they're entertainers first. And when they lose the joy for entertaining, then the athletic part is soon to be out the window as well. And I think that's what killed us. If you remember, I know everybody won't even remember the Dream Team, the '92 Dream Team.
Of course.
They said it's the greatest basketball team ever put together because them dudes never forgot the part about their entertainers first.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're entertainers, they did that first. And they kept the crowd, they kept all the fans enthusiastic. You wanted to see them play. When you look at it now, the guys are playing for money. So because they playing for money, the outcome don't matter or how they get there don't matter because they're playing for money. So that's why you see other countries starting to be dominant, not just because those guys play at a higher level, but they overseas. You got to remember, 92 Olympic team made basketball global. Mm-hmm. When it became global, we already was 40 years ahead. I'm 51 years old, and I remember back in the day, everybody knew if you wanted a great point guard, you was gonna get them out of New York. Them dudes been dribbling. They've been dribbling the ball since 1950 something.
All the top point guards is from here. Yeah,
they've been dribbling the ball that long. So when a lot of them got to the time when 92 came, they was already accustomed to doing that stuff where the rest of the world, it was brand new to them. Mm-hmm. So their love affair with basketball is just taking off. Where ours been there for over 100 years now. They've been loving basketball. So when you take the love from something, you take the heart from it. So when you take the heart from it, then you just going through the motions. That's when people fall in love with other teams. Remember when we sent that stack team over there and they got beat by Puerto Rico and all Puerto Rico had was Pepe Sanchez. Pepe Sanchez, that was it. Pepe was killing them.
They had the point guard that used to play with the Mavericks too. I think he was on that team.
JJ Barrera.
You know, them dudes, their love was for a different, and they played with passion. So you found even American fans was rooting for the Olympic team to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing I never want my son. I use all sports. Greatness is greatness no matter where you are. Kobe Bryant, after winning an NBA championship, went and played in the Rucker League.
Yep. That's true. He did. He came out here and played. Yep. The
top guys, they still stop and sign autographs for anybody because they love the game. When you hear about dudes like J.R. Ryder, they say when he was in the NBA, he would pull up back at home and put his shoes on and play a pickup game because he seen a dude dunk a ball. Oh, they got a dude that can dunk over there. Let me go out and get a run with him. They made a rule in the NBA contracts where them dudes could play on blacktops because they have something called the love of the game in the contract. You can't stop loving what you do because then you take your creativity from it.
Yeah.
Kobe went to the Drew League too. He played in the Drew League. The Drew League is a big league in the Cali. Yeah, he played there too. With Harden.
Remember when Vince Carter came down there and played?
Yeah.
Man,
Oh my God.
Vince Carter shut it down, and he was doing that for free. He gave you NBA type stuff. He shut it down because love of the game. When you start seeing dudes that was legends in high school, like to me back in the day, I went up to New York to see a high school basketball game where you had to cut through the fence. I went to Rice High School to see Felipe Lopez play.
I did too.
Everybody told me how bad he was, and I heard about it. I said, I gotta go see this boy play. Man, that was like a standing room only gym to see a high school kid play.
I was at the championship game when they played St. Raymond's, and that was in Fordham University. I was there because I was a junior in high school when I went to go see Felipe. And the guy in St. Raymond's was Kareem Reed. And I was there when they won the championship, and it was standing room only, and it was packed in that little small Fordham University gym.
And you know what? Go ahead. No, I was just saying that's why all those car radios was gone because my man Tommy was there. So that makes sense.
Hey, you want to know why Felipe Lopez should be respected in basketball? Because he played for the love of the game. We talking about a kid that could have went to the NBA out of high school. He went to college. We talking about a kid who could have went #1 after his freshman year in college. He stayed all 4 years. Then he went to the NBA, played, and then he went back. He became coach. His love for the game superseded his love for money because he didn't go to the NBA after high school. He didn't go after the great freshman year he had. Yeah. He stayed for 4 years. Like I said,
he had love for New York too, man, because he could have went to North Carolina. He could have went to Duke. He chose to stay at St. John's. St. John's was really in.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
You know, like when St. John's had Mullen, you know, back in the day when they had Luke Carnesecca, that's when St. John's was good. They weren't as good, and he chose to stay in New York. He could have went to any of those big time college schools.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But you know what? Them New York dudes, I think they stay loyal to a fault, especially the guards. Because back in the day, they wouldn't leave. And it's like, brother, you can't have 4 teams with all the guards because some of y'all got to sit on the bench. Them dudes could have went somewhere else and got run. And they love the game up there. You know, they love the game. You know, Jamal Tinsley, man, cold-blooded monster. Cold-blooded monster.
I used to like Tinsley.
And we got to ask you this last basketball question, man. What do you think about the new Jordan, man, coming along? Ant-Man. You think about the new Jordan?
I think young boy got that 1980s I don't give a fuck attitude. And he don't care about them dudes. If you ain't on my team, I don't care about you. And if you on my team and you play soft, I'm about to not care about you till you ask for a trade. Oh, I love it. That's what sports is, though. I don't like friendship basketball. I don't like let's create a big three dudes go climb on one team, because Magic did not want to play with Bird. Bird did not want to play with Magic, and neither one of them will ever play with Michael Jordan if it wasn't a celebrity game or the Olympics. They like competing against each other. That's what we losing. The love of competition. Everybody wants the easy way. So the easy way ain't what's gonna put you in that rare air. That rare air come from you doing and getting it out the mud.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's so funny, man? When I was watching Ant-Man play, I see myself singing that Michael Jordan song. He is me.
Oh yeah. Hey, he that guy. That young boy, that guy. He that guy. And if he stay in Minnesota and he never wins a ring, I'll respect him so much more than somebody who go get a ring. You get the monkey off your back. It's a lot easier to do it when the monkey ain't on your back. How can you do it when that monkey on your back?
Oh, like KD.
You don't want to see him play with my Knicks or my Lakers.
if they draft you out the gate or they trade you to that team. But I'm not gonna see a dude push his way out of a city just to go get to a city where it's easier at.
Wow. Hey,
I don't think that's great.
I don't think so either. I can't really respect that.
Man, if I see him in a Knicks uniform, man, number 23, oh my God.
Man, who in New York don't respect Patrick Ewing?
We never won though, man. We never won.
I didn't say that. I said who in New York don't respect Patrick Ewing?
We all respect the captain, man.
Because not because he won, but because he stayed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have took free agency a couple of times. He was like, "No, I'm a Knick for life."
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He did say that. You're right.
Yeah. So I mean, it can't all be about winning. Sometimes it has to be about I put my best foot forward and I came up short. That's all right. I never told nobody my son gonna finish his career undefeated. I said my son is gonna give you his best every time he go. But if he don't win every one, that's all right. But if he give me a half-ass performance, even if it's in a win, I don't care. My son won outstanding at the Mayor's Cup. And I was so mad at the way he performed in the championship. I said, "You happy with that? Keep the trophy. If you're not happy with it, give it back." Well, the other dude didn't beat me. I said, "But you supposed to smash him." We give too much respect for underachieving and for giving lackluster performances.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And you know, you said a lot on that, man. It's always good to meet a fellow Browns fan. But I want to say this, man. I hope to have you on again, Brother Bernard. You guys got anything else for the coach?
Yeah, man.
This was great, man.
Man.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you, man. This was awesome. I'd love to get to talk to you again. You know, but this was definitely awesome, man. You know, I sorry guys, I don't want to steal nobody's thing, but I do radio with a guy that from Ring Talk Worldwide, and he's a fan. He said that, you know, Jalil was the most impressive of the night. I know Boots was the main event and all, but he said he was most impressed with Jalil, and he would love to talk to Jalil if he could on the radio. You know, they're on Sirius Radio and everything. So, you know, but I'd love to definitely have you maybe chop it up with him, and maybe Jalil could come on as well.
Man, just hit me up on the IG or get my number from BVO. He got my my information. Yeah, like I said, I think we got to look out for each other. I think this is a business, and I want to be very clear that is making self-made millionaires of brown and black people who do not have the ability in most circumstances to do it any other way. So I love it. I hope to fight some great guys, and at the end of my son's career and at the end of those guys' career, I hope they can all look at each other and say we were part of making our family going forward better than it was going backward.
And you know what I'll say to that, Coach? I'm rooting for you guys all day until y'all fight Tio. That's the only time I'm rooting for you.
I want you to root for Tio 100% because, like Floyd Mayweather said, we cannot get a bag if it ain't some people who love me and some people who hate me and they buy tickets. That's the whole thing, man. Look, I'm up in New York a lot. I got a lot of friends up there. And some of my friends was rooting against me when we fought Pete because they New Yorkers to the core, and I'm not mad at them. I love them. I love them. I talk shit to them after the fight too. Of course. Hey, I want people to definitely support Pete Dobson 100%. And I'm gonna say this: for all of those managers, promoters, trainers who keep talking about they got the best young prospect, especially if you're a welterweight or a junior middleweight, don't say that shit again when your guy fighting tomato cans until you at least call Pete Dobson and fight him. Because I bet you a lot of y'all won't take that fight. I bet you a lot of them won't. For you, I ain't talking about when you get 6 or 7 10 rounders in. For your first 10-round fight Pete Dobson. You beat him, then I'm willing to say, you know, we that. But if you're not willing to do that, I'm gonna keep saying my son is the best young prospect out of his era. In his era, he's going to dominate. Not in the era before him, not after him, but his era, he's going to dominate. So tell him go fight Pete Dobson.
Is Emiliano in your son's era or no?
What's his age?
He's 20.
What's his record currently?
I think he's 10-0. Emiliano.
Oh yeah, we in the same era. We in the same era.
We gotta see that fight. That's gonna be a big fight, man.
We in the same era. And I'm gonna tell you, I root for all the young guys that's in my son's weight class, or one up or one down. Because if y'all don't do good and my son don't do good, y'all can't get paid. So I'm a fan of all of y'all.
That's so real right there. That makes a lot of sense.
I gotta ask you one final question. I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you that. I got on my paper. I heard you say before that you would not have your son do what Vargas did, what Emiliano's dad did. When you said that, what did you mean by that?
Hell no. Fernando Vargas was one of my top guys watching him fight as an amateur and a pro. To get to the Olympics, he fought Gary's oldest son, Gary Jones. That was the Olympic finals. The winner goes to the Olympics. So I've been watching him for a while. So a lot of dudes ain't know how long I've been watching him. And
you know what I want to say?
Go ahead.
You the first person that said they know my uncle Gary, but you the first person that actually know his oldest son. Everybody said they know my uncle, but Gary Jones is actually my blood cousin, and you the first person to actually know who Gary is.
I know him. Yes, my thing ain't a part-time thing, and just a little sidetrack. Me and Gary had our back and forth on social media or whatever, but I've known him since he was a baby. I've known Antoine, Tonio, all of them. I will always have love for them at all times. Tonio still talks to Jalil, and he'd call me and say, "Where's my nephew?" You can't stop loving somebody because you have a fallout with him. You just had a fallout. So he's never going to not be great. Gary Russell Jr. is never not going to be great to me because he was a great fighter. I could fall out with anybody, but that can't change what you've done historically. So I wanted to give that piece before I went on. But with Fernando was a superstar. He was a complete superstar. But because of what I say, rushing him into fights that should never have happened because they weren't in his era. If I was Fernando's manager, trainer, or whatever, he would have never fought Oscar De La Hoya or Felix Trinidad. For what? You already beat Yuri Boy Campus. You don't have to beat them. Let's concentrate on your era. If he would have fought just the guys from his era, he would have made just as much money. And I would venture to say he probably would have finished his career undefeated because he was that good.
Yeah, he jumped out in the water too quick for me too, because I like Fernando Vargas, but I think they put him out there especially with Tito. I was like, damn, young boy, that's kind of crazy. But
he
saluted him for jumping out there though.
He didn't jump out there. You got to remember, these young fighters got teams. The team jumped him out there. He didn't jump out there.
Whoever put him out there, they put him out there way too soon, especially with the Tito fight. That was crazy.
That boy was still in his, I think, early 20s.
Yeah,
in
that
his
was crazy.
early 20s.
He was 23 when he fought Oscar.
Yeah, and he had Oscar going in the first couple of rounds, but he shot his low. He was, Oscar had that experience, man. Oscar had that experience on him, so that's what.
I ain't even gonna say experience. He was a baby. He hadn't even reached his male maturity prime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like somebody.
He was a monster, Bernard. He was a monster, just like your son's a monster.
Yeah, but once again, I know the New York dudes. I know New York dudes for a long time. They really fuck with the dogs real heavy. Just because you got a 10-month-old and he's a great dog, don't mean you throw him in there with a grand champion. You gonna get him destroyed. Even if he win, you ruined him.
Yeah,
even if he win, you ruined him.
Yep.
Why ruin him because he good? Let me tell you, I had a brief conversation with Shane Mosley before my son turned pro. He saw him. He said, don't let nobody fall in love with his talent before they learn to fall in love with his future. People fall in love with talent. And you could put a talented kid in a fight that he don't belong in. And even if he win, what did it take out of him?
Dang.
Look at Chavez, Mildred Taylor. Mildred Taylor shouldn't have been in there with no goddamn Chavez.
No, he shouldn't have.
Even if he would have been declared the winner, what did it take out of him?
Yeah, that was pretty bad for Mildred. I was rooting for Mildred hard in there, but
if I ask any of y'all smart guys, if I ask any of y'all, would you rather have $10 million today, or would you rather have $1 million on January 1st for the rest of your life? Which one you gonna take?
January 1st for the rest of my life.
So why would we give away a young fighter for $1 million today? That's the same. I'm giving you the same scenario.
Because I always be like you said, when you see a fight like your son, and I see that talent, it's like you want to almost rush him. Like, I want to see what he do. You know what I mean? So when you say he's not gonna fight,
it's no use for it.
Not gonna fight like Errol. I thought that was a good point, man. Because like you said, you don't want to rush him too fast.
Man, just think of this. Boots is the king of the welterweight division until he moves up to 54. If Boots move up to 54, let's just say he move up to 54 in 2026, and my son doesn't hit a growth spurt and have to move up, but he stays at 47. Just look at the fights that'll be there for him that weren't there for Boots. Teo, Devin, Ryan, Shakur, Keyshawn, the one that just lost his belt, he's at 47, he just lost in Puerto Rico. He's still a game guy.
Oh, Matias.
Matias. You got so many potential Regis Pro Grace. You got so many potential fights if you just stay in your lane. Yep. The reason you do not see car accidents every single day, every single second, because most drivers know how to stay in their lane.
Thanks.
And you gave a quote of the day, man. You say you got to love their fish before you love their talent, man. You beat me. You took me to the bottom ocean with that, man. That was cool. I like that one.
Yeah, I want my son to make $50 million, but I also want him to be able to spend it.
Yeah. Yeah. But as I said before, man, I appreciate you coming, man. Thank you so much. And you know what? I really hope to one day get more about your story, because people don't know who you used to be, man. And I really appreciate how you was able to come home, be a good father, man, and turn your son into a future champion, man. Congratulations on that, man. Seriously, congratulations.
Man, I appreciate it. And I don't mind coming back on and talking about myself. But if we talk about my past, I also want my whole thing told, because when I die, I don't want nobody to say, here lies a real nigga. I don't want that. I want somebody to be like, here lies a coach that helped a lot of kids get in college, that helped a lot of kids get on the right direction. Here lies a man who stuck in there with dudes that he know from prison. And when they asked him to help their kids get on the straight and narrow, I was able to do it. That's what I want my legacy to be. I don't want my legacy to be nothing of me destroying my community and destroying people who look like me.
Hey, that's real as a $2 bill, baby. This is boy BBO Boxing, and we just want to thank you, brother Bernard, for coming through, man. And God bless you, man. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
All right.
Hey, that was definitely a dope interview, man. I really enjoyed talking to him, man.
That was dope, man. Thank you, BBO, for having me on and being part of that conversation. This was one of the. I keep saying this every time I do an interview. I'll be saying this is one of the better interviews, but this one was really good. I really appreciate him. Yo, I almost teared up. I started thinking about my aunt. I swear to God, I don't know if you heard me, my voice cracked, but yeah, man. I mean, that was real, man, because I know how it is. I mean, some people make, like you got jokes, but I was lucky. I was lucky to have my aunt, man. I could have been in foster care. I could have been at home. I could have been in all that, and I call her my aunt. My brothers and sisters, they say grandma, because it was like my mother's aunt that took care of her, because my mom lived with them too. So that's why they say grandmother. But she was like great aunt. And let me tell you something, man. That was awesome. I appreciate you, BBO. Happy birthday. For all you guys that think bad of BBO is actually a really nice guy.
Hey, but
when he ain't trolling. When he ain't trolling.
But you know what? Laughter does good like a medicine, man. And I think sometimes when we do these shows, we got to realize that if you didn't work hard all week, you done had a rough day, come on here, man. Let's laugh, have some fun. Because if you're from the inner city, you've been around a lot of BBOs who gonna poke you, but still gonna buy you a quart of water at the store, man. You know, he's still my guy. But
this wasn't an interview. This was more of adult conversation. That's how I look at it. I look at it as an adult conversation. Because we talked about Jalil a little bit, but it was more so getting to know Bernard, and that joint was definitely fire. It was definitely one of the better conversations that we had on any platform I've been on.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I've been watching Vlad TV, man. I'm trying to get my Vlad on, y'all.
He's stupid, bro.
Hey, because if you watch a Vlad show, Vlad does a great job of getting understand who he's in front of. Because at the end of the day, man, whether we got the chant, which was cool, we got to see the chant for a little bit. But dude, it's always good to see who started all this. Because at the end of the day, he started all this, man. Getting into boxing, bringing his son on, that's amazing in itself, man.
Yeah.
But salute to my brother GP, my brother Crush the Legend, Melanin Queen, Tay. Appreciate all y'all coming through. Skywalker, The Real Dream, The Only Dream That Matters, the Boxing Menu Podcast. Salute to all y'all P Boxing. Salute to G5, aka Louis Gossett Jr. Salute to Lucy, Quee that came through, man. Salute to all them people, man.
Yo, everybody, please, share this video, man. This was good, man. And BVO, you got some good clips that you could put as shorts. I mean, he dropped a lot of gems on here too. So you can, I think you should do that if you can find the little bit of time. I know it takes time to edit, but he dropped a lot of good gems here, and that should be shared.
And you know what, man? I want to thank my man Puerto Rican Tommy for coming through, man, because I give him a hard time, but Puerto Rican Tommy is one of the best interviewers on YouTube, man. He really is. I'm serious. He's really good at talking to people. He's almost like that dude that you meet at the corner store, man, who asking for $1, man. You just sit out there and talk to him for a minute. You then smoke the cigarette. Next thing you know, in 2 hours, man. You know what I mean? So,
thank you. I just want to say thank you. I know it comes from a good place.
Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring up my God, man, the other Asiatic black man, Socrates, man. We miss you in this one, baby, man. Well, us black brothers got to stay together, man. You said the Puerto Ricans was all against it.
I can't.
Hey, but we got anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, hold on. Before we go, D Free, man, tell us one of them funny stories before you go, man. You can't leave without telling us because you barely talk, man. Tell us a funny story, man.
Y'all pull up on Wednesday and watch me cook BBO in our debate.
Oh, he's not going to beat me, man. He's not going to beat me, y'all. Y'all talking about BBO, the underdog. Come on, y'all know what I'm going to do, man. I'm going to destroy. And don't forget, we got Puerto Rican Tommy. He gonna put on his channel too, man. So BBO versus D Free this Wednesday. Unless you want to back out, D Free, I respect it if you do, because I'm that guy.
You're gonna have a mediator and the judges and stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna be one of the judges. I just didn't tell you.
I don't know if I could be one of the judges, but
no, I'm messing with you, man. No, we got the judges already. I was waiting on our moderator.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be my guy, manager Marty, man. Since you don't want to come hang out with the brothers, man. So, but it's gonna be Floyd versus Sugar Ray Leonard, and of course, these free pick Sugar Ray Leonard. So I'm going.
I didn't pick anything. BBO picked all.
I don't know what he's talking about, man. It's your boy BBO picks.
We really boxing. Who wanted the battle? Let's see. Oh, we boxing. Yeah,